Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. We're back. Thank y'all, everybody, for staying with us here as we move past the 8:30 hour here. Ain't no half stepping. Marcus J. At this time of the show, always profiles a missing and/or exploited child. Today is no different. Tonight's missing child is Jermaine Parker. Jermaine Parker has been missing since January 8th, 2014 from Manassas, Virginia. That is in the Northern Virginia area, just south of Alexandria in the D.C. area. Jermaine Parker is a 14-year-old black male, stands 5'8", weighs 190 pounds. Once again, he was last seen on January 8, 2014, and he has a tattoo on his left forearm. If you have seen Jermaine Parker, please contact the Prince William County Police Department at 703-792-6500. Contact the National Center for Missing and/or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.com, or call them at 1-800-THE-LOST, 1-800-843-5678. Let's bring Jermaine Parker home to his family. Ain't no hashtag Marks J. All right. As we kind of ended that last segment, kind of transitioning from the round table, Big Rube set up a nice little teaser when he brought up the whole sex tape thing, and I'm glad he did that. I wasn't sure where he was going, but it was a perfect teaser for something that I already kind of teased that we would talk about tonight, and that is this sex tape, this whirlwind of media coverage that has gone on for this Mimi Faust woman who is on the TV show Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, and her boyfriend Nico Smith. Now, according to TMZ, this sex tape, which was released by Vivid Entertainment today, has already taken over Kim Kardashian's porno in popularity, becoming the most pirated sex tape of all time. Today, in an exclusive interview, World Star Hip Hop, the pair is speaking out, saying, quote, "We're adults, we're not kids, we're not underage. So what we did as two consenting adults in the privacy of our home is what we did," end quote. She continues, "The way the tape got out, we didn't intend for this to get out to the public, especially for it to be splashed all over the internet. I'm horrified by that." I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Jamila Lemieux, senior digital editor for Ebony, sat down with the Griots, Chris Witherspoon, to weigh in on whether or not Mimi or Nico's response will silence their critics, saying, quote, "I don't think there's anything else that Mimi can do to silence her critics. I think that's unfortunate to the extent that I can support her. She looks happy. She says she's in love with this man, and she looks absolutely phenomenal for a woman of a certain age who's a mother." I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to I'm going to kind of start it off here. You know, there's been a lot of backlash to her, largely because of her age. From my understanding, she's in her early to mid 40s. She's also a parent, a mother of at least one child. I believe is a female child. I don't know much about this woman, so I probably shouldn't say much. But I'm going to absolutely speak on this. Simply because I got sick and tired of seeing it fill up my timeline. Everybody's talking about it. We talked about it on other shows here on Legacy Internet Radio. Joy is saying it's stupid. What about her child? The child angle, you had a lot of people in the porn industry that have children, so there's precedent here. My whole thing is, don't try to play us for stupid. The sex tape got leaked. That's just, you really think that we stupid when the premiere of your show comes up in a month and this sex tape gets leaked, and so for a whole month we're talking about you and the sex tape? These people who never even watch the show, bless, are going to be running to whatever channel the show. I don't watch the show. I'm not going to watch the show. There's nothing that could ever happen to me in my life short of full body paralysis, and I'm stuck with a remote control across the room and the TV got left on that channel. That's about the only way I would watch this show. But we'll say more. We're gonna flesh this out a little bit before we move on to the other stories. Bless, you up first. What's your thoughts?
My thought regarding porn stars that have children, it's a different type of popularity there. There's a certain type of people that watch porn. There's a certain type of people that watch these reality shows, and then there's the middle part where they intersect. So my point was, so many people watch Love and Hip Hop Atlanta that she had a backing right there alone. So now she has gone over into porn, and now she has more fans that are going to know her, not just as Mimi from Love and Hip Hop, but also as a porn star. So her daughter is more at risk than just the person that knows, oh, that's a porn star, but she's with her daughter, I'm not gonna mess with her. Oh, that's Mimi from Love and Hip Hop. Oh, and you got that sex tape out there. That's what's gonna be said, where it makes a difference to me, because like I said, she had a different fan base before she started that. Like, what was the wrestler that did something, China or whatever?
Yeah,
Gina,
China.
The Princess Warrior.
China, yeah.
I mean,
Joni Laura is her real name, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a different type of popularity that she's going to go through and that her child is going to have to endure. I mean, she's probably not going to, she's going to be ridiculed in school. That's going to be, but for people that don't know, she used to date Stevie J, who used to date Eve, and they had a long relationship, and then this whole Jocelyn thing with the Puerto Rican girl that can't really talk that well. So, yeah. That's where she comes from.
That's why. What's your thoughts?
I'm embarrassed for her.
Why?
I think it's disgusting.
You ain't show your ass. Well, you worrying about some other sister showing her ass?
She has, and just based on watching some of the episodes, she's got a self-esteem problem. That dude that she was dating on one of the shows that I watched practically insulted her. Could have insulted the skin off of her body. He insulted her so bad. So now this is some dude that you're having sex with and put it on video. That tape is out there because you wanted it out there. You need the attention. You want whatever is going to come behind it, money or whatever it is. Maybe she's trying to get back at her baby daddy for whatever reason. I don't know. I can't think of a freaking reason that I would actually go and put myself on tape and put it out there on purpose.
Yeah, well, I think Stevie J is the child's father. So, of course, like I said, it's just a whole bunch of, we've already seen them at what we thought was their worst, with her going back and forth with him, trying to be with him, and he has a side chick that she knows about.
How do we know all of this stuff?
Love and Hip Hop.
You have to be paralyzed to watch it. Don't worry.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even watch it consistently because I really don't like reality shows where you're fighting every freaking episode. But I know this because
from those
Facebook.
Right.
I mean, from just reruns or whatnot.
I've seen a few episodes and got all that.
Joy is agreeing with you, by the way. Bless. Rube, what's your thoughts, man?
First of all, I think it's hilarious.
She does look good. I'm sorry, I did have to say that.
I think it's hilarious. I think this whole thing is hilarious. Now, I will come out and say yes. I have watched the last couple of seasons of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta because it's funny. Because Stevie J is probably the funniest dude on TV. I mean,
not even meaning to be. He just
no, he's meaning to be. Stevie J is meaning to be funny, but he's funny. And the crazy part, in my opinion, is that the whole thing with him and what's her face is
Jocelyn.
No, not her. Yeah, Mimi is the fact that on TV they still love each other. They have this great little child, but because of her friends and I will say probably some of her principles, she can't be with Stevie J because Stevie J is a douchebag. It is what it is. But you knew this going into this. It's not like the first 5 times you didn't know. So the first time you get a pass. After that you don't. Now, as far as the sex tape goes, my issue with it is this dude is whack. This Nico dude is completely terrible. And I wouldn't even. I almost feel like she might not have known that it was leaked. I'm pretty sure he had something to do with it. No doubt in my mind. Because that dude is sketchy on TV. He just is. He's that dude that you don't want to be around your family because you're afraid that he might just ooze something on like your mama's china and the china will rust.
See, I don't know.
Let me introduce kind of the angle that I wanted to because I to be honest with you, I don't care about Mimi. I don't care about Nico. I don't care about Love and Hip Hop. I don't care about none of that shit. Here's what I want to introduce. Do we, as pseudo stars, do we really have to go to such an extreme to get noticed? Is it really that important to show all of your goodies just so that you can get people to watch your television show? That's kind of what I this could have been anybody. It just happened to be her because there's precedent for sex tapes. There's the sex tape that came out with Pam and Tommy, we know that was stolen, so it wasn't released. It's a little bit different, you know. And then there's Anderson.
Oh,
Anderson.
I thought you meant Pam and Tommy from Martin. That was so
Martin. You know, and then there's the Kim and Ray J. I mean, there's precedent for this, and so I really don't want to make this about her because I don't care about her, and I don't think that any, you know, logical thinking adult really cares about her. Even if you watch the show, I don't think it's really about her, at least not for me. It's more about, why do we think that we need to do this? And don't disrespect us by telling us that you didn't know that this was going to happen. Like, seriously, don't even do it. Simone is saying that she hasn't seen it or have desire to see it. If she wanted to see one, she'd make her own. Bless, you were going to say something?
Regarding body image, she's on a show where she's not the most banging chick. Well, let me put it this way. Everyone has some sort of curvaceous body. There's Jocelyn, there is K. Michelle. I mean, and these are big booty girls. So if you want to get attention and be the best known person on the show, you're going to have to do something over the top to get that attention. And that's just that's what she did. Just like the other shows, the other Housewives of Atlanta or whatever other shows that they are, every time somebody gets in a fight, they become the #1 subject for that week or whatever.
You know, I think I'm going to be completely in the minority in this, and I know I am. It is what it is. I don't really feel like she had anything to do with it.
Call me.
I don't think it was her idea. I had this sneaking suspicion it won't her. It was that whack dude.
Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. We're getting a caller. Caller, you're on the line. You're live. Tell us your name. Where you calling from? What's your comment?
DJ Renee Melendez, straight from Jersey.
What's going on? That's DJ Renee Melendez. What's going on, sis?
How are you? How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
We doing great. I know that you're listening, but before you get to your comment, get your plug in first.
Everybody needs to check me out Saturdays from 7 to 9 p.m. DJ Renee Melendez with Deep House Sessions, only on LegacyInternetRadio.com. And before that, you can tune in and listen to the Throwback, which runs from 5 to 7 p.m. It's all disco classics, R&B classics, and hip-hop classics.
My sister. All right, you listening to us. What's your comment?
I've been listening to you guys all night. Y'all been going in seriously. But I just wanted to chime in on this thing with Mimi and Nico and his sex tape. Basically, I don't know which one of you just said it within the past 3 minutes, but someone made the comment saying that she's not the flyest chick on the show. And that is completely accurate because, I mean, you know, based on taste, everybody has, you know, somebody they think is attractive. However, I think that this was a ploy to make her relevant because if you think about the show, K. Michelle left. She came to the New York show because she moved to New York for her music career. Erica, she's still running behind Scrappy, so there's no relevance there. They had to do something to make Mimi a relevant character in that show. So this whole sex tape does tie into the show because even the upcoming commercials that they've been running, they just showed one a few minutes ago on Basketball Wives, during Basketball Wives, and you know, Erica's telling her, oh, you're a porn star now because it's all over the internet. So it does tie in. And Mona Scott Young can say whatever she wants. She's in all of this for the money. It's about the money. And basically, a friend of mine who works with me at Guitar Center worked with one of the other classmates from Love and Hip Hop New York. And it was a young girl who was dating Jordan, blonde-haired chick. And basically he was saying what they do is all of these things that happen on this show, these shows that Mona Scott Young produces, they're all actual events that happen in these people's lives. But they go back and they make them reenact all of these things, and that's how they write this script. So, you know, it's like if, you know, me and Marcus took a car ride somewhere and something happened or whatever, and then we came back and we told her, yeah, we went on a car ride and this, that, and the other happened, and then she writes it out for a script. So it's scripted based on events that happen in these people's crazy lives. Is it worth watching? To some people, it's humorous because, you know, some of it is just straight ignorant.
Stevie J is funny.
some people just watch it because they're into it. They love reality shows.
Well, let me throw this.
I'm not even going front. I watch it for the comedic factor because I happen to agree with Big Rube. Stevie J is just humorous.
Let me throw this wrinkle out there at you, Renee. Let me get your comment, and then I'm gonna let you go and get the comment from the crew, because you heard me say that for me it's not even about her, because I don't watch the show. I'm not gonna watch the show. I'm just not into it. You take somebody like Kenya Moore, for example, who I don't think you even need to watch the show to know about her character and how she is and all of that kind of stuff. What I know about Kenya Moore, when she was a young woman, she was a beauty queen, she was, a debutante, she is Miss USA or Miss America, whatever it was. This is someone who clearly knows better, that has culture. And all of a sudden, you see the behavior that you're seeing coming out of her on these reality shows. And I made the analogy to a friend of mine when we were talking about this, is if you watch wrestling, which I do, I know Big Rube does, I don't know if you ladies do, but if you watch wrestling, you know that it's all scripted, even though some of the actions and what they physically have to do, you have to do some stuff to get to the point. Well, you also know that these dudes hate each other on TV, but then they go and have drinks when it's over. So why do we?
I don't think that's the case.
Well, that's the same thing that the person who I was talking to said. I don't think it's the case, and that's fine. You don't think so. I disagree with you, because what I know about Kenya from before, I have a hard time believing that you get stupid in your 40s when you were smart in your 20s. That just to me doesn't make any sense. So here's my question. I'll get to my point. Here's my question. If we think of it from that perspective, why do we dumb ourselves down to watch these people act in these kinds of ways under the guise of reality? There's a difference between watching Beer Mary Jane and Scandal and watching Basketball Wives. There's a difference, because one of them purports to be real, and that to me is the difference. And so to that you say what, Renee?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say dumb it down. Some of that stuff, really does happen. I happen to be the type of girl, I don't run in a circle of female friends. I know a lot of people that do have this big circle of female friends, and it could be anywhere from 5 to 6 chicks, and they going on vacations and stuff together, and they always have some type of drama where somebody says something this one don't like, and it comes to an altercation and words being exchanged. And it's pretty much the same thing with those group of ladies. But to go back to what you said about Kenya being a debutante, Miss America, whatever she is, just because you're cultured don't mean you know how to act. Just because you're cultured doesn't mean that you have common sense. It's just you've been exposed to different things that other people haven't been exposed to, But she's an adult bully when you really look at it, because for her to hold a scepter, and she's waving the scepter in the air, and she's, like a queen on a throne, telling people when they can talk and when they can't talk, and calling people all kinds of names. And then the thing with the bullhorn, she's lucky that she only got dragged down by her hair, because it could have been far worse.
I can dig it. Ain't no hashtag on Marcus J. That's DJ Renee Melendez. One more time, tell us where to find you.
It's Deep House Sessions with DJ Renee Melendez every Saturday from 7 to 9 p.m. only on LegacyInternetRadio.com.
You're killing it, girl.
My sister. Thanks for calling.
Thanks
we appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Talk to you soon. Someone, Bless, what you got?
Regarding dumbing down, money makes people. I'm not going to say the people that watch are dumbing down. It's entertainment for them most of the time. It's entertainment for the people that watch these shows. Now, as far as the people that are actually playing in these shows, this supposed reality, I think that they were smart in the fact that they have seen what Teen Mom, they have seen what all of these other MTV shows, how these people were getting money, and now they're getting money. Right. And that's their way of making money. But in the meantime, that money is causing a lot of evil, because people watch these shows and see how they act, and they think that they have to act, especially our young black people see these things and think that this is the way that they're supposed to act and handle issues, and we can't tell them any different because they see it on TV.
100% agree with you. And so does Simone. She says it's about ratings, making money for the investors. Straight up buffoonery. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. We can talk about this subject all night, but we're going to leave that one there. I want to get into what's going on in California right now. The California prisons are sterilizing female prison inmates against their will. I'm getting this from naturallymoire.com. The website Tell Me Now is reporting the prison doctors in California have sterilized over 150 women. The reported reasoning behind the sterilization is the state did not want to have to make welfare payments to the women for children they may have had once they were no longer in prison. The sterilization procedures that occurred between 1997 and 2010 reportedly cost the state a total of $147,000 plus. And Dr. James Heinrich, who is an OBGYN at Valley State Prison for Women in California, is quoted as saying that the total is far less than the amount of money it would have taken to pay for welfare for children that are referred to as unwanted. While it's also reported that women are not forced to have these sterilization procedures done, Heinrich is said to have signed off on the procedure as medical emergencies to circumvent the process that is in place to protect the rights of the women in the California prison system. Now, while it would seem that this type of procedure should be illegal, it is actually protected under the law. The Supreme Court ruled in 1927 Buck versus Bell case that women can legally be forcibly sterilized while incarcerated. Supreme Court Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. wrote the majority opinion on the case and is quoted as stating the following, quote, three generations of imbeciles are enough. We have seen more than once that public welfare may call upon the best citizens for their lives. It would be strange if it could not call upon those already sapped the strength of the state, for these lesser sacrifices often not felt to be such by those concerned in order to prevent our being swamped with incompetence. Now, while some see Holmes' point as being valid, it does appear that anyone has considered providing these women with these opportunities to provide financially for themselves and their families in a way that provides genuine economic security would avoid them needing to rely on the state. Long story, but I wanted to get the whole thing out. So basically, that's why the gist of this is the state is forcing these women to become sterile to keep them from coming out and having babies, with the assumption that the state would have to take care of those babies because these women would be on welfare. A lot to consider. What's your initial thoughts when you hear this one here?
Mark, is that really, it sounds like that should have fallen under the what the hell.
Well, we're still talking about what
because
the hell. Sex tapes and what the hell. So it is this, yeah.
You know, I don't understand that whole process. If I'm out of prison, I mean, even if I'm in prison, I don't feel that you have the right to do that to me. I don't feel that you have the right to take away my right to have children. You know, some people go to jail innocent, you know? So if you want to go and prevent a woman from having babies now in her future because you think that she's not going to be able to take care of herself and the state's going to have to take care of the baby, that really freaking sucks.
Yeah. You know, I start with Marcus J. My brother Lumsey is saying it sounds like Hitler tactics. The doctor sounds like they have a German name, Heinrich.
And that's really
I can dig it.
illegal?
Well, apparently, bless what you got.
I was going to say it reminds me of the Tuskegee when they were sterilizing the men by giving them the, I think it was syphilis.
Syphilis.
Yeah, syphilis injections. But on top of that, the money that could be used to this sterilization, number one, I want to see the stats. I want to see which women are getting this done. Is it Hispanic? Is it the white? Because the misconception is that everybody on welfare is black, and that's not the case. So I would like to see the stats and the stats on who these welfare, or what these, you know, how many people are on welfare that came out of prison and what race they are. That's the stats that I would want to see. Yeah,
I got you. And to take it a step further, I'd like to see, you know, since we're pulling up stats, which we're not actually pulling up stats, but since we're pulling up stats, Ruben, I'd like to see of all of the women in that jurisdiction during those years that they mentioned in this article, what percentage of those women that are released from prison end up on welfare? I'd be curious to see what that percentage is. And once you show me that percentage, I'd like to see it broken down by demographic, as what Brandy, Miss Blessed over here, has suggested. When you hear a story like this, they're sterilizing women in prison because they're assuming that they will come out and become welfare recipients. What's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I have a couple. I mean, I definitely see it the way that has already been portrayed. I guess basically my question would be if it wasn't just females, if it was males too, you know, and they did not give the reason that they give, would this really be an uproar as it is? I tend to think that, you know, I tend to think that, you know, some things are done for a reason, I guess. I don't know, because I feel like that if you're going to do this, and I'm not saying they should do this, so I don't want to hear any bashing going down, but I'm just saying if you're going to do this, you got to do this equally, you know, because as much as you don't want women to go out and have babies, then men shouldn't go out and be able to create babies. Now, I'm not saying that any of this is right. I want to put that out there. But I think it's interesting that they're attacking women instead of both. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I guess they figure that, well, if you sterilize a woman, then the men can't do anything. Well, just because they're not going to do anything with those women, that doesn't mean they're not going to do anything. So, I mean, I think it would be, I think if they were to go to a tolerization of concentration camps and all that stuff, I would think they would do it with both sexes. But once again, I think it's stupid. And I think that I'm curious to see, had different words been added to it or changed, and they changed from female to male or from female to both, and they didn't say so that because they had, you know, because they could, so they wouldn't have to pay for welfare, you know, if they say, well, you know, you lose your right to have children when you're in jail, how different would this conversation be, or would we even be talking about it? Once again, not saying it's right, but I do understand that, as you like to say, their buzzwords always being used, and they seem a little too direct about why they're doing it, which is really unusual for government, because government is never direct like that. And that's why I'm kind of...
Well, I wouldn't say that they're direct. I would say that it's a subtle shot, and I think it's a subtle shot with code words, code word being welfare, because we know that the assumption is that minorities, which is the real majority anyway, but we know the assumption is us that's on welfare. And so as Brandy suggested, I'm gonna go back and forth between Blessed and Brandy as I always do, but as you suggested, you know, I would really like to see the demographics of these people that are being affected, because you know,
in California you're probably looking you're looking at a mixture of white, black, Hispanic.
Yeah. And
to me, that sounds, in California, that sounds more of a move against Hispanics than it is.
I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. I know while we are saying that we'd like to see the breakdown, I'll be honest with you, I don't really care about the breakdown simply because this shouldn't, in my opinion, this shouldn't happen to nobody. Like, it shouldn't happen to nobody. Like, you know, because you committed a crime and you went to prison, and this doesn't speak to what your crime is. It doesn't speak to, this article doesn't allude to what your crime is. It doesn't allude to how much time you have in prison. None of that kind of stuff. We're not talking about murderers and rapists and stuff like that. You know, because
that are going to get out.
These are people that are getting out. You know what I mean? And so it's scary to think. I mean, what do we live in, a police state? You know what I mean? Like you can take a piece of my body away because I committed a crime.
Well, they're also using a law that was passed in 1927. Was that when it was? And that was 7 years after women got the right to vote. To
begin with,
yeah, pretty much is.
Now, I'm not sure how accurate. We're getting hits. Simone is telling us that she knows of these sterilization laws being on the books since 1956 in 27 states, including California and Virginia. I haven't researched that, but if she has, that's very interesting as well. Because if there's more states out there than in California, it's just the one that's on the tip of our tongues right now. It's a bigger deal, and it's a lot more scary than we initially thought.
And you would have to look at it. I would like to see, in that case, what kind of states are these? Democratic states or Republican states? And are they ones that are for or against women's rights? And then we get into the whole abortion and women's rights in their bodies. So
I think I don't know if that's going to play I don't know if the type of Democrat or Republican state thing is going to play into it. I think it's more going to be a situation in which, at the time, I mean, we're talking 1927. I mean, nobody
really wanted women to vote anyway.
Well, we're talking women to vote. We're talking minorities at the time. Yeah. You know, so it's a whole lot of different stuff. I mean, this is before, you know, civil rights and all that. So it might have been a lot of laws have been created back in the day to make sure that one group stays larger than the other and stronger than the other. And the problem is, unfortunately, there's no one. There are not people to go back into the laws to be like, this law is stupid. Yeah. Or we don't need it anymore.
Until something like this happens.
Exactly. I mean, there's stuff on. I mean, there's laws on the books that says it's against the law to have sex with socks on or stuff like that. I mean, seriously, you laugh
Virginia,
because I saw a list. No joke. All jokes aside, I saw like a whole list of. I saw a whole list of bugged out laws by state and stuff that's on the books. Like, they actually have a law that says that you're not supposed to have sex with animals. Like, this stuff, these laws, I mean, obviously we know common sense says so, but the point is, these are laws that are actually on the books.
Correct.
It says you ain't supposed to have sex with socks on.
Yeah.
And so if you can kind of rationalize how weird that is.
But my electric shot.
Like in Virginia.
Your toes gonna curl anyway, girl. What's the problem?
Whoa. Like in Virginia, it's against the law to have sex in any position other than missionary.
Yes. That is a law on the books in Virginia.
Yes. That is an actual written law.
Yes. Yeah. So, but see, the point is, Ruben, like you're saying, there's a lot of dumb shit in the laws. Yeah. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J. Let me get a couple of comments in. The Dating Pool Diva is checking in. She's referring to the Mimi sex tape. She's upset that kids can view the tape and others online simply by pressing a button.
Can they?
Absolutely, yes, you can. And so Lumsey's picking on you, Rube, because he said consecration. So he's picking on you. Simone is giving us more states that are affected: Utah, Vermont, Iowa, Georgia, as well. Ain't no how Steppin with Marcus J. I'm running out of time, so I want to move on. I got two more quick stories I want to get to real quick before we get out of here. Ruben, I want you in on this one first. This one is one that really has me. I'm on the fence on this one. I'm getting this from WRIC, which is a local ABC affiliate here in the Richmond area. This one is an AP story out of St. Louis. It's about a guy, Cornelius Anderson, was convicted of armed robbery in the year 2000. He was sentenced to 13 years behind bars and told to await instructions on when and where to report to prison. Those instructions never came. Now, social media, I need y'all in on this one as well, because I am struggling with this one. When he did not get the instructions to report to prison, he didn't report. He spent the next 13 years turning his life around. He got married. He raised 3 kids. He learned a trade. He made no effort to conceal his identity or his whereabouts. He paid taxes. He paid traffic tickets. He renewed his driver's license, and he registered several businesses. It wasn't until last year that the Missouri Department of Corrections discovered the clerical error that kept him free. Now he's fighting for release. In a single day last July, of course, his life got turned upside down. His attorney is saying they sent the SWAT team to his house. He was getting his 3-year-old daughter breakfast, and the men with automatic weapons banged on his door. He was taken to the Southeast Correctional Center in Charleston, Missouri, to begin serving the sentence. He filed an appeal in this past February to ask to be free. We don't need to get into the specifics of what his charge was. Suffice it to say, he was convicted and he was sentenced to go to prison. They never came for him, so he moved on with his life. When they realized years later, ironically, the year that he would have gotten out of jail is the year they figured out that they never put him in jail. Big Rube, I want you in on this one first. Do you think that this model citizen, married father who became a carpenter, started 3 businesses, paid income and property taxes, kept a driver's license showing his true name and address, pulled over for traffic violations, nothing showed up that said that he was in prison, do you think that that person should be forced to serve out that sentence, or do you think that the state of Missouri blew it and they should release this man? I want your opinion on this one. And obviously, in this case, there's no right or wrong here. We're just looking for opinion. Social media, jump in on this one because I don't know what to say. Also, I want to give a shout out to my sister Melanie. She is checking in the shy. What's going on, Melanie? Appreciate you listening to us, sis. True fighter. What you got, Big Rube?
I think he should just get himself a good lawyer because ultimately I think it will get all suspended because I've not been in a lot of courtrooms. I've not been in a lot of jails. But I know if you get convicted of a crime and you're in court, they usually take you straight to jail. They don't usually let you go. So, obviously somebody let him go, which means the fault is on them. So I think what should and will happen is once he gets himself a competent lawyer, they're just going to fight it and be like, look, it ain't his fault he walked out. Y'all let him go. He's not supposed to. You don't get a piece of paper saying you need to be back here Tuesday so you can go to jail. No, they take your ass to jail and you sit there until it's time.
Not all the time. It depends on the charge. It depends on your flight risk. There's a lot of reasons why you don't go straight to jail. There's some people who don't go straight to jail and they're given time to get their affairs in order. They're usually not people with a lot of melanin, but in this case, this guy got a whole lot of melanin and he got sent home.
Yeah, but you don't get sent home if you have to go to jail. That's weird.
Sometimes it happens.
If it's a bail hearing, completely different.
No. What were you saying?
I said, did he go past go and collect 200?
But
it's not. It does not always happen that way. It does not always happen. I know that we think that it does, but it does not always happen that way. Sometimes you are given a time to come back and report to jail. That's what happened to Lil' Kim. She didn't get taken out of the courtroom. The same with Ja Rule. He didn't get taken out of the courtroom. Now, those charges are different, but the point is there is precedent for people being convicted and being allowed to get their affairs in order and being told when to report to jail. So I don't know that we should kind of hang on that point, because there is precedent for it. The question that I'm asking is, and I liked your point about having it suspended, because isn't part of going to prison, isn't part of that about rehabilitation?
Yes, and I feel like he has done so. He has a family now. He has started his own businesses. I think that he's done what they would have tried to say the jail would have done for him. He's already done it on his own. Whether it was because he knew that it was hanging over his head and one day he would get caught, so he didn't want to get in trouble. He'd rather make better life for himself. Who knows what the reasoning is, but yes, I think that 13 years that he would have served, he has been serving it because he knew he was going to get caught one day. He just didn't know when, and unfortunately, it's 13 years later.
Right. Lumsey is saying that they should make him serve his time via probation. I agree with that. I personally have a hard time sending a guy to prison. This is a man who, yes, he's guilty. Yes, he should remain a convicted felon for as long as he's supposed to remain a convicted felon. But, it's one of those things where we understand the law and then we understand common sense. And I think oftentimes the law and common sense are in conflict with each other. And I think this is one of those cases. Had you taken him right to jail, as Big Rube suggested, that'd be one thing. But you forgot about this dude. And there's a 13-year paper trail showing that this dude has done the right thing for the entire amount of time that he's been on the outside. And so for them to put him in jail, they're within their right to do that. And I'm not going to say they're wrong for doing that, but I don't know what him serving out the next 13 years is going to serve. Like, who is that going to serve? I don't know that it will serve anybody.
But I guess it's also a conflict because what about all the other prisoners? You know what I'm saying? What if that ever happens again?
But I think the extenuating circumstance is this guy was a model citizen. That is the extenuating circumstance. And it would have been the equivalent, like Lumsey suggested, maybe, it would be the equivalent of them giving him a 13-year probation instead of 13-year prison sentence that says if you wild out in these 13 years, your ass going to prison. Well, he didn't wild out in those 13 years.
Right.
So I have a hard time with it. Like I said, I understand why he does go. It's fair that he does go because he was convicted and he was given that time. But it's one of those things that I think with common sense, you look at the fact that he was a model citizen, he did everything right. I think he let it go. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J. Had one other story that we were going to get to, but we're going to skip it and move on. We're going to get wise with SY. Stay with us. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy and that radio. Be back in a minute.